Hello and welcome to this month's movie where we're going to take a look at how you can adjust the feed calculation in your uniform program.
I need to make some changes to my feed. Can you show me the settings?
Yes, if we start with the cow's head, we go across to feeding and we go over to feeding setup. Now I can see that you have an N plus table for the high yielders and an N plus table for the low yielders. Are you happy with that at the moment?
I'm happy with the feed rate, but would like to reduce the ration for my first calves so they're being fed outside for maintenance plus 20.
Okay, so this is for the high yielders, so we'll go to edit, go to next, go to next, and this is where we set up the N plus table. So currently we're saying that the first calvers get 22 kilos plus maintenance from the outside ration, second calvers 23, and the cows 25. And then here we have our feed rate going up, so we're saying for the next 10 kilos, feed at 0.4. But you want to reduce the M plus from 22 to 20.
Yes.
So they start getting fed earlier.
Yes.
Okay. What's important to do when you make a change, if you go to the graph, you can clearly see that what you've done is correct. So now we see that at 30 kilos, the first calvers are getting 4 kilos of concentrate. So when you change anything in the table settings, always graph it. It's much easier to see if you've made a mistake visually, and then finish, and that's it done.
I lead feed the cows for the first 20 days. Can we just check those feed levels?
Yep, so here we need to go across. We go to increase, decrease. We say OK. And this is a way that we can feed the cows regardless of milk yields in the early stage of lactation. So you're able to specify the periods and also the level of concentrate. So currently, for the first week after calving, we have an increase 1 phase and an increase 2 phase. You're not actually using a third phase, but you have the flexibility to put that in if you want. But for the first week, they're going from 3 to 4, and over the next 2 weeks, they're going up automatically each day from 4 to 5 kilos. So this means, if we look at it graphically, the first 21 days, we'll lead feeding the cows. It's only on day 22 that we start feeding based on milk yield.
Okay, I'd like to increase that first phase by 10 days. I don't want them going up too quickly.
Okay, so again we go back to the grid. We change this first phase now to 10 days. So you see that automatically changes. We go across to the graph just to check it, and you've now lengthened that period. So we're saying for the first 24 days the feeding is predetermined, and we'll only feed on milk yield when we get to day 25.
So the increase-decrease always has priority?
Absolutely. If you have that period too long, potentially you can be overfeeding some cows and underfeeding other cows, but obviously that's where the experience of your nutritionist comes in to guide you on how to set it. One other thing to say, we also have a decrease phase. If I just go back to the grid, you can see you have a decrease 1 and a decrease 2. And what you're doing, we're saying 21 days before the expected dry off date, we want to start reducing the concentrate. And you've taken it down so that 21 days before, over the next 7 days, we reduce whatever level of concentrate they were at down to 0, 14 days before the expected drying off. So this just means that we're not feeding the cow as they approach drying off.
My high yielders in group 2, I want them all to get a minimum of 1 kilo.
Okay, to do that, we need to go across here to calculated feed. So we can see that post calvers, they're on N plus high yielders. This group here, group number 2, is on the high yielders ration, and then we have a separate N plus table for our low yielders. But if you want to put in a minimum, you can also put in a maximum as well. Just tick the box here for that particular group, go down to calculate, and here you can say that everything gets, what do you want, a minimum of?
1 kilo.
Okay, so 1 kilo. Same for the first calvers?
Yes.
Okay. And this is an important setting here as well. When the cow is on the increase phase and she gets to day 24, she's on a preset amount of concentrate. If we then look at the production level and it says, for example, it wants to take her from 6 kilos down to 3 because that's her production level, you can specify how quickly the concentrate can fall per day or per calculation. So in this case, we're saying 0.2.
Yep.
So we have a safety net here. We have a safety net in the fact that we take a 7-day milk meter yield, and we can also specify how quickly the concentrate goes up. So this is the most it can fall by per calculation and the most it can go up by. And you've now set a minimum and a maximum. And the maximum for the first calvers is 7. So we can go to next and then we can go to finish. If we look here now, we can see that the number of cows in the group, 379, the average 7-day milk meter yield, the amount of concentrate that it wants to feed based on the production level, and then what we're actually feeding.
Cow number 20, why does it say minus 3.2?
Okay, if we have a look here, cow number 20, we can see days in milk, inseminated 17 days. Her average 7-day milk meter yield is 45.6. So based on that, it wants to feed 10.2. But you specified in the previous screen that the maximum amount that you can feed is 7 kilos, because that's the amount of time they have to eat it. So that's just telling us, by the way, based on the production level, you're underfeeding that cow by 3.2. And if you're not quite sure about it, you can always put the cursor over the top and that will always explain it.
So how often does the feed calculation run?
Okay, if we close, this depends on how you've actually set it up in Automate. Group 2 has been modified, save changes. You need to say yes to this. Otherwise, it will not retain that setting of the minimum of 1 kilo. I don't need to send that across to the process system because it's going to send that across automatically later on. But if you want to check, if you're not quite sure, go up to Automate, go to Settings, and here you can see that we've selected feed calculation. Now it's actually going to run at period B, so that's going to be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's actually going to run every day. You can check which groups have been calculated quite easily if you just go across to details, and here you can see that's our 3 milking groups, all ticked. So in this case, each day at 2 o'clock, it will automatically run the feed calculation.
Okay.
So I hope that explains a little bit how you can adjust and fine-tune the settings. If you have any questions, please call the help desk and we'll be very happy to help you.